government of India and the death of Mr. Nijjar. Do you agree with that assessment? And finally, what is the government doing to hold India accountable for the death of Mr. Nijjar?
So all of those questions fall under, all of those questions fall under the same rubric, which is there is a process underway this is a criminal procedure. There's a process underway. And my job at this point, with respect to that process, is to make sure that I do not say anything that prejudices the prospect of justice being served. So in that context, I can't comment on the specific aspect, those three aspects of your question. And I hope you'll appreciate that what is important here is that justice is served and that the immense resources that are put in place in order to ensure that justice is served run their course.
Thanks. Next question.
Morning, Prime Minister. Stephanie Taylor, National Post. You have outlined what steps Canada is doing to protect citizens from foreign interference and in transnational repression, but a lot of confusion exists, including within your own cabinet, about what Canada thinks India is doing. So I'm hoping that you can clarify in a yes or no way. Do you agree with your own government official, yes or no, who suggested India is no longer actively interfering in Canada's democratic process and that Indian agents are no longer involved in murders and extortions within Canada? Yes or no?
Well, I'm not sure that's an exact quote.
That is what he suggested.
That's not a quote.
I can read the quote.
I think, we can debate whether you had a discussion that was not for quotation, but if you want to read a quote from something that's not for quotation. These are the words I would use, and it's important. I would not use those words, okay, first point. Secondly, our approach, as I said in response to the first question, is one of, the second question, is one of vigilance and engagement. And we have made progress, but regardless of the progress that has been made, it is our responsibility to have both aspects. First and foremost, to be vigilant. Okay, vigilant in terms of tightening the laws, vigilant ensuring that we have the right resources at the security level, at the police level, in terms of the coordination, vigilant in ensuring that those resources are active, vigilant in ensuring that we are using all sources of intelligence to direct resources to protect Canadians. And then alongside that, to be engaged with countries so that if and when there are issues or even a sense of issues that we are raising them, engagement at the level of national security, engagement at the level of defense, engagement at the level of police, engagement at the political level. All of those, and if you look at the record, if I may just finish on this, of this government in less than a year, 6 major crime bills, many of which address specifically these issues, thousands of new resources being put in the RCMP and border security, huge technical resources also being put in place. That's an odd way to put it, but physical resources in terms of surveillance, and re-engagement, including at the national security level and the political level, so that we can address these issues actually, in other words, today and prospectively, so that prevention is there as well as redress. Thank you.
Next question.
Abigail Beeman, CTV News. I still have not heard a clear answer as to whether you believe India is still actively involved in foreign interference, and if you would not use those words of the government official, will there be consequences for that official?
There will not be consequences for those officials. Look, there are, in terms of vigilance and monitoring, which we do actively and on which I receive regular briefings. There are aspects of those briefings that I can't share in public, and I'm not going to betray them. I will tell you that there is progress on these issues, and that progress is a product, in my judgment, it's a product of the resources we're putting in. It's a product of the clarity of our position. We will not tolerate foreign interference, transnational repression by anyone. and I stress by anyone. There's a wide range of countries who make these efforts from time to time. And we will call it out and we will engage with it in a way that is as effective as possible to protect Canadians, and that's what we're doing.
Next
Thank you.
question.
Alex Ballingall with the Toronto Star. In your Davos speech, you said that one of Canada's principles and the principal aspects of our foreign policy is the prohibition of the use of force that's not consistent with the UN Charter. Now you're saying, albeit regretfully, we've supported this action despite the lack of engagement with the United Nations. So it seems like there's a potential, or it seems like there is a contradiction in those two things. So can you explain how we arrive at that position?
Well, there's a few things, Alex. What I also said in the Davos speech and said today, and this is core, is we take the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. We're not going to passively wait for the world as we wish it would be. We would like international law to always and everywhere be respected. Canada's intention, Canada's policy itself is to always and everywhere respect international law. So that's the first point. Secondly, I will observe, and I would take up, and it's not fair to your colleagues, but I would take up all the remaining time in this press conference times 10 if I went through the serial violations of international law by the Islamic Republic of Iran over decades, and all the efforts under the international system to contain those using international frameworks and international laws. It is a failure of the international system that this country repeatedly violated international law, terrorized an entire region, and through extension, the world, including the murder of Canadians. Let's not forget that. Repression of women. The murder of 15,000 of their citizens within the past few weeks for protest. Now, brings us to the question, though, which I think is in your question, of the current situation and its perspective relative to international law. And look, the first thing I'll say with respect to that, it's for the United States and Israel to make the case, and for whether or not that is the case. And it's for others, more expert than me, non-lawyer, certainly non-international lawyer, who are more expert to make that determination. And that said, well, Canada was not asked to participate. You know that. We were not informed in advance. We were not asked to participate. Prima facie, it appears that these actions are inconsistent with international law. So we would not have been in a position earlier this week, or the weekend, I guess, to take a judgment that met our standards if we had been asked to participate. We weren't. We haven't made that formal judgment. It's for others to make those judgments. As I said, Alex, we were dealing with the world as it is. So in the context of what's happened, what's been begun, we support the efforts to end the Iranian nuclear program and its decades-long process, regime's decade-long process of state-sponsored terrorism. But we remind that international law binds. It binds particularly with respect to civilian infrastructure, and it binds all parties, should bind all parties. We call for a de-escalation. We're prepared to assist in that. Thank you. Quel aspect? Premièrement, c'est pour les États-Unis et Israël de faire la preuve si leurs actions sont consistantes avec le droit international, premier point. Cela dit, le Canada n'a pas été demandé d'être un participant dans l'action, tout le monde le sait. Mais cela dit, dans la situation actuelle, ce temps-là, ce n'était pas clair que les actions sont consistantes avec le droit international. Mais il faut agir, il faut reprendre, il faut que le Canada reprend dans la situation actuelle, le monde comme il est. Et dans ce contexte, on soutient les efforts d'arrêter le programme nucléaire d'Iran et la capacité de promulguer le terrorisme à travers le Moyen-Orient et à travers le monde. Merci.
JP, we'll have time for 2 more questions after this one.
JP Tasker, CBC News. Good morning, Prime Minister. How are you?
Good. We'll take 3 just so there's not a rebellion behind
That's
JP.
probably a good idea.
Yeah.
What was President Trump's reaction to you supporting the airstrikes on Iran?
I haven't spoken to the president.
What does that say about your relationship?
The president's. I don't think it says anything, to be honest. Next
You
question.
received nothing from the Americans?
Look, we take a position. Let me just make a clear point. We took a position, not asking for something. We took a position because we view the nuclear threat and the export of terrorism of Iran over decades as one of the gravest threats to international peace and security. And the Americans and the Israelis haven't taken this action in that limited sense. We supported that aspect. That is not a blank check. That is not us participating. That is not us asking for something in exchange for that. None of that is true. That is just a straight-up position. Thank you.
Next question.
Prime Minister Brian Platt from Bloomberg. What we know so far is that Iran's supreme leader has been killed. Many other senior officials have been killed. Do you have a position on what replaces that in Iran? What kind of regime comes next? Do you want to see a wholesale regime change here, or is stability more important?
Well, look, we have long wanted for decades and continue to this hour that the will of the Iranian people is respected and that a government consistent with the will of the Iranian people comes in place. How that would come about, I don't have, I mean, it's an exceptionally complex situation. I'm not inserting a war aim into a conflict that others started.
Catherine.
Hello, Prime Minister. Thank you for your time.
Yep.
I wonder if you can just help us better understand Canada's position about what is happening at this moment. There's been a call for a ceasefire. We heard from your ministers. Is Canada explicitly asking the United States and Israel to stop as well, making those cases to their officials? And also, the United States has made a call for the people of Iran to rise up. What is Canada's position on that?
Well, I'll just refer to my answer to the previous question on the second. And with respect to the first, any cessation of hostilities, whether you call it a ceasefire or cessation of hostilities, full de-escalation, it takes all sides in order to do that. As I said in my comments, in our judgment, that will take a broader diplomatic effort. That broader diplomatic effort will very much have to involve the countries in the Middle East that have been attacked now by Iran. Their civilian infrastructure, their civilians have been attacked. And certainly that has been, they've been successful largely in defending themselves. Some of the missiles have gotten through, but the intent has been widespread civilian casualties and damage to civilian infrastructure. So those countries, many of whom are close allies of Canada, need to be involved in any diplomatic solution. Thank you.
Ian.
Hi.
Ian Austin from the New York Times. Has Canada seen any evidence of the imminent danger the President cited for launching the attack on the weekend? And should anyone take any confidence in his view that this will be over in a matter of weeks?
Well, Ian, I'm on intelligence. I can't share intelligence that we've received. It's not appropriate, particularly within broader intelligence circles that we may have received from others. So I can't comment on that aspect.
We've got one last question.
And the timing, the president's forecast that this will all be done in a matter of weeks.
I won't speculate on it. What I would say is that, in our view, that the efforts should begin now to de-escalate the situation. And Ian, as I referenced in my previous answer, that needs to involve broader parties than just the United States, Israel, and Iran.
We'll do a last question to Ilya.
Prime Minister, Ilya Grudnev, Financial Times. Do you see this war as a war of choice or a war of necessity? In particular, we had the President saying that the nuclear program was obliterated earlier this year. Now you're saying it was an imminent threat. So we're trying to... I
didn't say imminent threat.
Well, is it a threat or it wasn't a threat?
Iran having a nuclear bomb is a massive threat. It would be the biggest threat. This is, again, okay, let's be realistic. This is a regime that is the biggest exporter of terror in the world, that has for decades terrorized the Middle East, that has killed scores of Canadians, murdered scores of Canadians, tens of thousands of its own citizens, repressed women in its society. It has sought persistently, and you'll remember the JCPOA and all other efforts has sought persistently to obtain nuclear weapons. Nobody has a civil nuclear program that's buried a mile beneath the desert. So that is a threat. The exact timing of it, the exact aspect of it, I'm not privy to all the information in terms of that. I would remind Ilya that Canada was not consulted on these hostilities. We're not part of it. We're taking things from the position that they are today with the actual, and in terms of the desirability of eliminating that nuclear threat and the capacity to export state terror, that we support, but we remind all belligerents of their responsibilities to protect civilians, to protect civilian infrastructure, not target civilian infrastructure, and we call for de-escalation of the conflict.
Thank you, Prime Minister. This puts an end to our press conference.
Thank you very much.
Merci, c'est ce qui m'a fait la conférence de presse.
Thank you.